Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network. The broadcast shows are for informational and entertainment purposes only. They are not designed to provide listeners with specific personal, medical, or counseling advice. Individuals with a medical issue should always consult their healthcare provider. MS&Me is not responsible for content of individual shows. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own. Enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Dawn Melanie. Thank you for joining me today for another episode of my series titled Managing Self, where I'll be discussing with you today how I do just that, how I manage myself. That is, how I manage myself dealing with multiple sclerosis for over 20 years now. I'm sure you guys have heard it before. I do it pretty much from with a fitness mind or mindset, I'd say. A lot of what I do involves a fit, healthy lifestyle, including eating healthy foods, being as active as I can on a daily basis when I can, and avoiding stress as much as I can, if I can. Just having fun, having a good life more than, I have multiple sclerosis, and you guys may as well, or something else, but basically, my glass is always half full, and I tell people that all the time. So we're all going to encounter bad days, but I try to make the most of it, of any situation. Make lemonade out of lemons. Now, oftentimes, I'm super happy, super positive. Hopefully, I'm always positive. I try not to be negative at any time. I don't know, it's not my nature, but I go through rough times as well, and right now, how am I managing myself with changes that have occurred recently in my life with multiple sclerosis and everything. Well, everything affects that because multiple sclerosis affects me, and so it's all sort of intertwined. So right now, I'm trying to practice what I preach. I'm sure you guys have heard it before. I always say, a lot of what happens to us, or sometimes the stress that we encounter, things, oh man, this is really tough, this is hard, but it's really not the actuality of what happened. It's actually how we react to it. This 80-20 rule, 20% of the stuff's going to happen. That stuff's going to happen, but the way we respond to it is often the reason we encounter stress or sustain any stressful situations and things that follow that. High blood pressure, who knows, whatever. Well, I do know. I mean, it's evident. Stress is a precursor to a lot of ailments and illnesses. And one that I'm personally familiar with is stress has always been the precursor to any of my exacerbations. Whether it be a small one, like maybe, I guess I could say a small would be, well, I don't think there are any small exacerbations because, I believe medically something like the terminology or categorization of an exacerbation versus just a one-time event is it's sustained over, more than a day, probably a few days or so. So I've had several of these, and they've all, I've always had a follow-up of a round of steroids to reduce the inflammation that my body was, going through. So I guess I can't say there's a small exacerbation. Exacerbation or MS flare-up is an MS flare-up, but I know that each one that I've ever had, a stressful situation, it occurred very, very close in proximity just before the event. So, like I said, that's my point of view. I know, and I've been there several times. I don't like to be there, and like right now, I said I'm going through some stuff, and I don't want to, MS exacerbation. So, what I'm doing now is I'm trying to manage myself. Like I said, practice what I preach. Be aware of my body, how it's responding, how it's feeling. I'm trying to get as much sleep as I can, which I should be getting 8 to 10 hours, which is my body loves about that that's my magic number, 10 hours of sleep per night. But, trying to eat healthy stuff, not the greasy stuff to make me feel like bleh. Still trying to get to the gym, at least walk, if nothing else at all. I don't have to lift weights, but at least walk. Get out and be social and move. Get up and do something and move. People say, do something, do what? Move. First of all, you got to move. If you can move. I know some people can't move, so I don't want to say, well, move if you can't move, but if you're wheelchair bound or laying in bed, do whatever you can, as much as you can. So I encourage everybody to do that. Like I said, that's I'm always encouraging everybody to do that. But this week I'm kind of listening to myself as I speak and tell you guys that I want to keep moving forward. MS is dynamic. We'll be in a good place, and then before you know it, our life has changed, just like from the first time we got diagnosed. I remember March 11th, 1999, you have MS. My life changed, and it's been changing ever since. So I understand that, but my point is, I'm going to. I guess I am. I was going to say I'm going to talk about managing myself, but I hope that you'll bear with me today. Bear with me because today's show is not as scripted or as planned out as I generally would like it to be. So it's going to be a little more impromptu, shall I say? Kind of what comes to mind. Pardon me, what comes to mind. But nonetheless, this is probably the best because you get me. I'm at my most open state. So if someone was interviewing me right now, they'd get the most candid answers and things like that. But this is a good state for me to talk to you guys honestly and openly about me managing myself. So my inspiration for today's show was my muse, which I guess is my husband. He's been working on his healthy eating and exercising and making it more of a routine now. And it's interesting because one of the most important things, or one of the probably the hardest thing for him, is the time constraints that he has as far as working out at his lunch hour, getting to the gym, changing, taking a shower, getting back to work on time. So, you have to sacrifice. You can't have a leisurely lunch because, what he wants to do is get in better health condition. So that's, he's sacrificing. I'm like, well, wow. Also the food, you have easy more things that I know he doesn't like, per se, but the thing is he has to sacrifice eating certain food. So it's like, I'm going, okay, maybe we can have this instead of that tonight. And, we're looking at all sorts of things so we can kind of do the research on. And I'm also thinking of myself, and with MS, I try to eat foods that aren't known to increase the risk of any inflammation. So, as we're working on our food schedule and stuff like that, I came across a elimination diet, which is more or less, pretty much give up everything good, and kind of reintroduce it back into your diet. Into your diet, your regimen of eating, and to figure out which foods make you feel bad, those you want to stay away from, which foods that boost your energy, make you feel good. So you want to consume more of those foods. So so thinking of elimination diet and things like that, sacrificing to get what we want. I'm thinking, what, this is very much like my multiple sclerosis and how I manage myself every day. People say, I often talk about my successes, but on the flip side, I talk about my struggles. I'm not gonna I don't think there's any success without a struggle. There's going to be a struggle at some point in time. Struggles, hopefully you get success, but I talk about my struggles, I talk about my successes, and as I said that, I think I need to change that. I need to change the word struggle, and I want to use the word focus. That focus, I know if I focus on something, hopefully I'll lead to the success that I'm looking for. Hopefully you guys probably agree. Focus sounds a little Sounds nicer than struggle. It doesn't sound as harsh. I'm sure we all have books, materials we've read or that we use to organize. I know I'm guilty. I'm a Franklin Covey junkie. Well, of the past. But we have all these things so that we can organize stuff, so we can prioritize this, organize that, and motivate us to do this and that on time, and yada yada. Everything that we think we need to do so that we can get things done. But what we sometimes fail to realize is that the things that really matter, we don't do. We're so busy doing these little small tasks, like let me check this or tick that, or make this look pretty and write that down. But we forget about what really matters. We probably all know how to schedule. Everybody has their own unique method of scheduling, and just doing things. Everybody has a plan and how they do it, but that's fine. But one thing is as a universal is that we all have to focus. We have to focus. Focus it's not a one-time thing. Don't do a task and walk away. I'm done. Yay, success. But when you want to get something, well, I'll use managing myself with my multiple sclerosis. Because that's ongoing. It's going to be like forever. For the rest of my life. So something that's big, something like that, you got to focus on. I guess it's probably similar to your marriage. You can't just, hey, let's go out to dinner one time and, everything's good, or you have an argument and nice words are said, kiss and make up, it's over. It doesn't happen like that. Same thing with MS. You get your round of steroids after you had an exact flare-up. Your MS isn't all better. You still have to keep your eye on your symptoms or how you're feeling and all that stuff. So the thing is, we have to focus. We have to focus on the big picture, the big plan, and focus is an ongoing process. I understand. And I know. I'm looking at my desk right now. I got 1, 2. Just without even turning my head around, I see 4 calendars. And that's just looking at half of the room. Calendars on my wall, on my desk, inside and out. All these things, I'm like, okay, I'm focused. I'm going to focus on this. But sometimes, even with all our tools or props we have, sometimes we feel overwhelmed. Like even with the systems that we use. And when we realize that, hopefully we'll realize it sooner than later, that, well, maybe you have to make a change. Maybe you have to do something to be proactive. Again, there's that word change. Change, so what are you going to do? I want to say it's not what you do. Kind of like when people say, well, I want to lose this, or people often ask me, how do they lose or how do they reduce the size of their stomach, the abdominal area and fat? And I always tell them it's not what you eat, it's what you don't eat. And that's oftentimes what we have to do to achieve a bigger goal, which is not an easy fix or an easy fix. Oftentimes we have to sacrifice, not eat certain foods, not participate in certain activities. We have to sacrifice. I want to say sacrifice like forever. That's not what I mean. Like just give it up forever. But perhaps take a break. Give your mind some time off from the activity or what have you. Not forever. Probably not forever. But unless it is something that needs to be left alone forever. But that is something that we need to do to, again, get the bigger goal. My big goal is me successfully managing my multiple sclerosis. So whatever your big goal, I think it's probably the same thing. Understand that you have to sacrifice some things. Me, I see those. One of my favorite 4-letter words. It doesn't start with an F or anything like that, but it's SALE. SALE. Men and women are like, yeah, of course. Especially if it's in red lettering. That it's like, wow, it's an opportunity. They've reduced their price or clearance or something like that. You really just got to go pass by. I can't. I can, but I generally do not just pass by the items on sale. Sometimes in life, there's going to be opportunities that you do have to pass by, and sometimes this is a distraction. That's an example of a distraction. I know, like I said, I'm distracted. I head out the door of a store and I see an item, or I see a rack or a display, shall we say, and I'm distracted. Now I leave the store late, and now I get home later, and dinner's later than I had planned. It's a distraction. With MS, I can get distracted and say, oh, I'm having fun out here sitting outside at the pool. I'm not in the sunlight, but it's still kind of hot out there. And it'll be, me kind of forgetting, hey, you have MS. This heat isn't the best for you. I can do it for some time, but not too long. That distraction of just, I'm having fun right now. It's kind of getting in the way with me getting to where I want to be. And that is my what? My successful management of my multiple sclerosis. So, again, focus is very important. Sometimes you have to allow those small opportunities like that, hanging out by the poolside with my friends is an example. But sometimes I know that I have to allow small opportunities and pass them by in order for me to get to where I want to be, which is bigger and better success, and that's my successful management of my MS. Now, I'm talking about success and sacrifice. Now, if I sacrifice something, I expect to get something, a big return, ROI, return on investment. That's what I expect. If you invest a bunch of money or risky stock, you're probably expecting the potential payout to be large. Horse race, I guess, is the same thing. You go with the not the expected winner, but whatever you call the long shot. You expect a bigger payout if that horse wins. So, when I sacrifice something, like maybe don't go to a fun activity because I have MS and I'm trying to stay out of the heat, I expect good things. I expect, to be successful, my successful management. Sometimes we sacrifice, and there's difficulties, and we may sacrifice even though we know it's the right thing to do, but it's begrudgingly, and we kind of forget that, hey, the difficulties are short-lived, but our success is greater and is forthcoming. So like I said, I look at my success. I look at success as a product of my investment of knowing what I'm doing with my time and how I'm, taking in paying attention to the external forces, everything out there, everything in me, with how my body feels, writing it down, reading articles, talking to doctors, talking to friends, getting different opinions, different points of view. All that's an investment. All that's an investment in me, and that's my number one priority. So hopefully you guys can kind of maybe understand that and think of, well, hey, you're a commodity. I always say you're a commodity, or you're a commodity. A unique one. Remember, no two are alike. And that's probably the hardest aspect about having multiple sclerosis, is that I'm not the exact same as anybody else, so I can't do what they do 100% and expect the same results. I can't take the same risks and have the same results. It's going to be different. Or it can be the same, but it's not guaranteed. So that's kind of tough, kind of hard. But I know that if I want to be as successful as I can be, I need to do everything that I can do. So, I'm not going to be able to do everything, but if I can do something, I better do it to the best of my ability. I know I can't do everything. There's some things I can't do. And like I said, sacrifice or whatever you want to call it, it has to be done or has to be given up. And although we are all different with MS, one thing I believe permeates the masses, and I think it goes through all of us, is that there's something that's required that we be successful in our management of our multiple sclerosis, management of ourselves, and that is focusing on the things that matter, ignoring or not letting distractions use up our time or get in our way, be a roadblock to our success. So that's a constant for all of us. Well, it's not a constant because it's always changing, but that's a commonality for us all. Just understanding the importance of stability. Stability. I know that if I want to be successful at something that I'm passionate about, MS management, passionate about, fitness, passionate about, whatever I'm passionate about, a good relationship, a good marriage, it's something I'm passionate about, I understand that I have to succumb to unpredictability. I don't think that's hard for anybody with MS to understand, because every day is unpredictable with MS. You may feel good, you may have all of your senses, vision, sight, hearing, walking may be fine, but it may go like that, just like that. So understanding that sometimes unpredictability is just there, and that's when you have to go, well, you got to risk it to get the biscuit. In other words, sometimes you have to take a really big risk to achieve the greatness that you want. There's going to be times in your life, I know times with MS, it happens all the time. Sometimes you just have to take a leap of faith. A leap of faith may be changing medicines, your disease-modifying therapy, or just anything like that. A leap of faith, because it's like, okay, I'm not sure about that. You don't really know. It's unpredictable, but sometimes you have to succumb to that unpredictability. At some points in your life, it just has to be. That's I don't know. I think that's how I know. Anytime I'm on my road to success, the road isn't always smooth and straight. It's sometimes bumpy and curvy. So I know, like I said, I know I have the time. I have to manage my time and be ready for changes. Also, it's kind of the same thing as far as changes, but we may want something. I want pizza every day. I don't know if you guys know that, but I can eat pizza every day. My record is 10 days straight for every meal. All I ate was pizza. But sometimes we want something. I want it now, and one thing is to understand that just because you think it doesn't mean we have to act upon it. So that goes with pretty much everything with MS. Just because I think, well, I want that medicine. Maybe not now, or we have to I know that I generally don't make a big decision without weighing the pros and cons, and also sleeping on it a night or two before pushing the button and saying go. So as I close today's episode, I want to ask each and every one of you out there listening today to take into consideration some things you may have put off that you probably know that you should make sacrifices, in the area. What sacrifices can you make to help you achieve success and the great things that you want in life? It could be anything. It could be personal, job, occupational related. or like me, how do you want to maybe up your game on your management of your multiple sclerosis, like how you handle it. I always promote that each and every one of us be their own best advocate for their health. So it may very well be that, like, oftentimes we say time, like I don't have time to do that. Well, some people don't understand that. Well, even though a lot of us don't have a 9-to-5 job, we don't have time to do things because, well, sometimes we're really tired or fatigued. So even knowing that, with the time that you do have, like me, I know what I want to do. Okay, I'm going to go to the gym. Yeah, I'm going to make time for it. It's going to happen. Probably it's going to happen. But in my sleep, I want to get my sleep at night, which I guess I should be sleepy now. But generally, I get my sleep pretty much every night. But if I want to get something done, like if I have something important, like, well, doctor's appointments or paperwork for doctors and things like that, there's things I have to sacrifice. And sometimes it is my sleep. Or it may be, well, I can't hang out at the gym and talk as long as I would like to with my friends there. So, it's the little things that, it's just little, I don't say flash by night, or I don't know what I'm saying, but it's the small things that we have to give up sometimes to, get those greater things in life. So I want you guys to, like I said, take that into consideration, think about it for the week, get out your journals if you need to, write it down, think of some things, maybe like reflect on it a day, like, how you're doing, maybe the progress of it. But nonetheless, think about how you can make sacrifices to get what you want, the things that, the greatness and the big achievements that you want in life. So, especially with your MS, because we're all warriors, but, it does take effort, it does take work, and it does take focus and planning. So, this has been Dawn Melanie. I thank you for listening to me this week. Sorry, like I said, I'm not, I don't want to say I feel spacey or loopy. I am tired. Just going through some stuff right now, and I still want to reach out to you guys and kind of tell you about, this topic. I think this is it hits home for me, and I'm sure it does for everybody, because we all can improve and elevate our success on our lives, definitely our success on our managing our multiple sclerosis. So that's what I want for everyone out there. I pray you all have a blessed week. Until the next show, which I hope you'll join me for, take care. Bye. Bye. This is Dawn.